One of the great iconoclasts, one of the great men I've ever met in my life, Christopher Hitchens, lived life to the full, and that's putting it mildly. He was a brilliant writer who, when he was dying of cancer, wrote his last book, Mortality. And with me now is Carol Blue, Christopher's wife. Welcome to you.
Oh, thank you.
He
thank
was
you, Piers.
One of the great men, one of the most extraordinary characters I've ever met in my life, a brilliant writer, bon vivant, a man where lunch became dinner, became breakfast. He was all things. What was he to you?
Well, he was that. He was a long meal that had a 24-hour cycle, but he was a wonderful husband and lover and chum and playmate.
It's impossible to think that it's nearly a year since he died.
Yeah.
He wrote these pieces for this. It's an incredibly powerful book, Mortality. I remember reading these pieces in Vanity Fair many at the time, and it's been put together here for the book. But what was extraordinary was it wasn't just a normal cliched courage. It was a real battle he was having with this thing that he was determined to beat.
Yeah.
And also a battle with all, of course, the God-fearing people out there, determined that he would convert at the last minute and start praying for his life.
Yeah. Well, he didn't mind at all that they were praying for his recovery, and he wanted to make sure that there wouldn't be some kind of drooling scene at the last moment in which it seemed as if he'd converted, but in fact it never came up in the last days. So it just wasn't a subject of interest to him.
What would he have made of what is going on the international stage now? He was such an internationalist.
Yeah, I think he would. I know that he had hoped there would have been some action, a coalition of European and American forces in the spring of 2011 in Syria, that there could have been a model somewhat like the Libyan model. So I'm sure he would be agitating for some kind of intervention, although, you know, because every month that goes by, the situation becomes more grim and sort of more impenetrable.
We were just laughing there about his prodigious output. Even on his last few days, he was still pumping out all this stuff, wasn't he?
Yeah,
amazing amount of material he wrote. What was your favourite piece, if you have one? We're like choosing a favourite child. What would it be?
Yeah, I mean, if it was like choosing a favorite child, then I would have been the most profligate woman on the planet. But I was just looking at the waterboarding piece last night, and some of the pieces he wrote about James Bond and spying and all because of the Petraeus.
What would he have made of the Petraeus scandal? He would have loved it, wouldn't he?
He would have loved it, but I think he would have said it's the sex and the money without any of the ideology.
Yeah.
You know, it's bizarre. It's spying. It's as if everything was reduced to the housewives of Tampa.
How do you think he would have liked to have been remembered?
As somebody who said, which he said in the at the beginning of his memoir, Hitch 22, live all you can. It's a mistake not to.
He once sent me my favourite email ever, and it just said the four most overrated things in life are champagne, lobster, picnics, and then he named a certain sexual practice. And it has been my template ever since. He was entirely correct for the ones that I have knowledge of.